Tragedies caused by malfunctioning animatronics were the main inspiration for the majority of the Five Nights at Freddy's story. In these cases, reality surpasses fiction. So get ready, because in this video we'll talk about the real cases and truth behind Five Nights at Freddy's that not a lot of people know about. So don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Let's begin. I guess the establishment that most reminds us of Five Nights at Freddy's is of course Chuck E. Cheese. And you're not wrong if you ever thought they took inspiration from this restaurant. Chuck E. Cheese, just like in the games, is all about pizza and animatronics. But even though it might seem like a nice place to spend time with your family, at some point it was the scene of horrifying events. Chuck E. Cheese, just like the video game, had animatronics that performed shows to entertain children, but far from bringing smiles to the little ones, they often ended up scaring them and even harming some of the kids. These animatronics often behaved in very strange ways, as if they had complete minds of their own. To understand what I mean, I'll show you this video of an animatronic and a child. If you're a young child excited to interact with these animatronics, the last thing you expect is for them to harm you. In the video I showed you, it was quite weird to see how the animatronic seemed unwilling to let go of the child. And even when the little one runs away, we see how the worker next to him tries to get the animatronic's attention. But the way the animatronic turns and looks at the worker, apart from being strange, is truly terrifying. Are these animatronics able to think and process what's going on? But an animatronic not letting you go is not the worst thing that could happen to you. In this next video, things get even worse. This animatronic not only scared the child, but it also seemed to have trapped the child's hand and ended up completely smashing it. But well, maybe up to this point you're wondering what this has to do with the Five Nights at Freddy's game or what the truth is here. Well folks, these events bear a lot of resemblance to the game, especially this last one I just showed you. If you remember, there were two very similar accidents in the game, occurring in 1983 and 1987. The first one happened in 1983, where we can see a Freddy Fazbear animatronic biting a child's head, and it's actually better known as the Bite of 83. And the second one happened in Freddy Fazbear Pizza in 1987, where an animatronic, which we're not exactly sure which one it was, violently bit a person, causing them to almost lose their frontal lobe. We could clearly see these events in the game, but if these cases seem like a mere coincidence to you, the next event will give you goosebumps. Although Chuck E. Cheese was very popular in its early years, over time many of its establishments were closed and left abandoned, while others simply went bankrupt because maintaining so many animatronics was practically impossible for the company. After this event, many people ventured to investigate these abandoned places, and one of these people documented something truly terrifying. We must not forget that these places had been abandoned for years. In this video, we see the person in an area where there are several abandoned animatronics. Many of us would think that these were simply useless, but it was surprising to see how, despite the deterioration and the years, these animatronics could move and speak.
This is Rob the Wolf saying thanks for using the show selector.
How on earth did that happen? Are they possessed, perhaps? Currently, we know that Chuck E. Cheese no longer uses animatronics. Firstly, because they were too expensive, and secondly, because of all the accidents that occurred. The second case, and perhaps the most well-known, is the one that could have given rise to the entire story of Five Nights at Freddy's, especially in the movie. This violent incident also occurred in a Chuck E. Cheese pizzeria in 1994, just like in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. This event was triggered by a dismissal and resulted in 4 deaths. This fired employee entered the premises and mercilessly shot 5 workers. 4 of them lost their lives, and 1 managed to survive. This killer named Nathan J. Dunlap was determined to get revenge because he had been fired 5 months earlier. The night of the shooting, he arrived very calmly at the premises, ordered a slice of pizza and several tokens for arcade games, then hid in the bathroom and waited for them to close to begin his revenge. It is said that he suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, but this was not enough to prevent him from being sentenced to the electric chair. And although nothing has been confirmed yet about whether this event was inspiration for Five Nights at Freddy's, it's still quite terrifying to think that everything that happens in the game could really happen in real life. To finish with Chuck E. Cheese, let's talk about a rather paranormal event. It's about one of Lizzie Noel's videos. In this video, these guys visited one of Chuck E. Cheese establishments, but the interesting part is when they approach the window to record the animatronics.
We got Chucky, we got Helen, we got...
Oh! Wait, did that one just move, guys?
At one point, we can hear how they all get scared and claim that one of the animatronics blinked. The most terrifying thing is that at the beginning of their video, these guys show a news report that this Chuck E. Cheese location is one of the most haunted places in the area. Let's move on to the last case. This one didn't happen at one of Chuck E. Cheese establishments, but at a Disneyland park where some animatronics were presented, specifically at America Sings. This horrifying tragedy involves Deborah Gale Stone, an 18-year-old girl who took a job as a hostess for this attraction. She introduced a cast of animatronics inspired by characters from Robin Hood, among others. These entertained people by singing songs about the history of the United States in a funny way. But on this tragic day, everything went wrong for Deborah. With very little experience in this type of job, she made a mistake and fell into the gears behind the show, resulting in one of the worst deaths, as she was crushed by these huge mechanisms. Maybe you already knew a little about this case, and you may have found out through a video circulating on the internet in which supposedly Deborah's screams of terror was recorded.
And hear America sing. Sing it, Sam. Yankee Doodle traveled south, riding on a riverboat. Played a tune and sang it out. It sounded like a billy goat. Yankee Doodle liked the South, sang their song so dear. Thought they were most elegant for everyone to hear. Yankee.
We can't guarantee that this audio is real, as the scream we hear in the video doesn't make much sense, but the whole story is 100% true. But tell me, what do you think about all these events? Do you really believe they could have inspired Five Nights at Freddy's? Do you believe that these animatronics are possessed? You have the final word. Leave a comment if you know of any other cases.